we talked about the Russian filth that wipe out mankind with their death hand device that launches all their nuclear weapons if a nuke weapon goes off in Russia, which is a certainty because the Iranians will detonate one or the Israelis will, or both will. So the human race is dead. Now let's look at the filth that are the Russians and how they treat their own. Stripped, electrocuted and forced to fight each other to the death on camera. New evidence shows how Putin's commanders are torturing their own men. So these are the lowest form of filth, the orcs, the trollocs from the Wheel of Time. Graphic evidence show commanders beating and electrocuting their own troops, denying them food, forcing them to crawl through mud, tying them naked to trees in sub-zero temperatures, and even making them fight to the death. Other footage shows injured soldiers on crutches being sent back to the front line. In separate clips, troops sheltering in Ukrainian dugouts film themselves surviving on stolen potatoes because their own army has not supplied them with food. So one can see that the end of humanity is nigh because these scum have decided to explode all the nuclear weapons on America and Europe if a nuclear weapon goes off in their country, which will definitely go off because of the war against Iran. So here's more images of the Russians abusing their own people. So this Russian filth is the end of mankind and shows why the human race needs to die, because if you've got Russians, you need to get them off. And if you have to get the whole human race to get them off, well, so be it. Kalki time.
Помяли немножко ведро, блядь, и такая хуйня бывает. Палку, сука, сломали. Ой, блядь, головушку.
Болеть еще будете? Нет! Не слышу! Нет! Ладно, давайте. Нет!
А вот это две наши собачки.
I tell you what, that's an Adonis of the Russians. You want to see him in a trap?
Вот. Давай, давай. Давай, хуярю.
So, we know that the Russian filth, the trollocs, the orcs, with their dead hand switch mechanism, wipe out the human race. We've explained how it's so easy. Launch a few nukes at America and the Tesla cars, poison the planet. We only need 100 tons into the ecosphere to wipe out humanity forever. And that is a definite, because the war in Ukraine means that Ukrainian placed Russian built nuke goes off in Russia, or because of the war against the Satanist Iranians, the Israelis detonate one in or more, because there are plenty in Russia, all across Russia, if the Russians poke their nose into the immolation of the Iranian filth, which of course they will because they're Russian and they're criminally insane, criminally psychotic, criminally suicidal, because who in their right mind would build a dead hand switch except the Russians? Even the Chinese are now screaming because they thought the Americans and Russians would do themselves in and China would take over the world. They didn't realize the Russians would wipe out the Chinese too. This is what Christians believe is coming their way, but thanks to Jeremiah Schwartzy boy, Charlie Kirk, Iris Goldsmith, and the Elohim, who wanted to neoize me by force, because I wouldn't give away my light of sourceness, because I'm the 10th source avatar, Kalki. They have to pay the price. So instead of any of the Christians having their rapture, the only one who has the rapture is me, and you all go to Omega Hell to be eternally tortured. But this is what you're missing out, Christian filth. Remember, Russia is supposed to be Christian, and that's the race of filth that wipes out humanity. All of the Russians become Neos for me.
Worst tragedy is not war, famine, or disaster. It's being left behind after the rapture. In a single breath, millions of believers will vanish as Christ comes to take his people. But those left behind will face chaos, fear, and the rise of the Antichrist. The Apostle Paul warned, when they say peace and safety, then sudden destruction comes. Revelation declares, no one will buy or sell without the mark of the beast. Imagine searching for hope, but the church is gone. Imagine crying out for mercy, but judgment has begun. This is why missing the rapture is the greatest tragedy of all. Now is the time to repent, to believe, and to stand with Christ. Don't wait, because when the trumpet sounds, it will be too late.
If you Christian filth, the lowest form of scum, with your total Christian country, Russia, that wipes out the human race, by their works shall you know them, according to your Jesus, you know something's wrong. Now, back in '86, I uploaded all of the rapture to myself and left no one behind. And we're going to explain why you're all left in hell space thanks to the filthy Russian scum and their dead hand nuclear switch that consigned the human race to total Omega Hellization under Lucifer. So, we've been talking about Higgs field. When a nuclear weapon goes off, it converts matter into light, which is gravity in the fifth dimension according to Galuza. So it's an anti-Higgs field weapon. Now, if a soul is trapped in the blast area, their soul is exterminated and the light that vivified their soul goes back to the source. So that a mass release of nuclear weapons desouls anyone in ground zero. If you want to know what ground zero is, that's a nuclear weapon going off, and there'll be a multitude of them going off when the Russians launch their entire arsenal, when Ukraine or Israel or both detonate embedded nuclear weapons planted all around Russia, the new Soviet Union, because of Ukraine's total collapse, or the Russians poking their nose into the Iran war, which is a certainty. Because remember, the Russians are a totally racist race that think they're the master race, the new Nazis, and that they must uphold Russian dominance. And of course they're all Christians, so they're all Charlie Kirks. And Charlie Kirk, of course, was the second coming of Christ. I made sure that the second coming of Christ was in Charlie Kirk, so when he got his throat blown out, Christ died, and you've had your second coming, Christians. Get used to it. Anyway, when the bomb goes off, anyone caught in the ground zero gets their soul converted to Omega Hell, and the light the source gave to the soul goes back to the source. And once you've killed 100 of these humans, it becomes available to Kalki, the Psi Lord, to do it to the entire human race. And if you think that the entire human race hasn't been desouled by this mechanism, you are a fool, because it's already been done. So every single human has no soul thanks to this mechanism. So because of the 100 monkey effect, if you do it to 100 humans, then a 5-dimensional being, and remember Nagwals are 5-dimensional beings, can do it to the entire human race, and it's been done in the past.
Or what seemed the ultimate. Hiroshima was 41 years and 8 months after Kitty Hawk.
Background story of the human shadows of Hiroshima. After the atomic explosion of 1945, black shadows of people were found on the sidewalks and buildings. The bomb was so energetic that the intense light bleached concrete and stone. As the people absorbed some of the energy, they left a dark shadow that did not bleach out. Many of these shadows could be seen for years before rain and weathering finally made them disappear. This.
When a nuclear weapon is dropped, the soul has its light taken away from it, and of course, automatically, it goes into Omega Hell for eternal torture. So nuclear weapons are a must-have if you want to consign the race to eternal torture for maximum yield. So thanks to the Russian filth and the dead hand mechanism, humanity was wiped out from the face of the earth, and it's already done. And the upload of the light, the sourceness that was in the humans, has already been taken by Kalki back in 86, when I fully became a 5-dimensional being. So we're in a time loop where in 86 I became 5-dimensional and absorbed all of the sourceness from the entire human race, thanks to the Russian filth and the dead hand mechanism. And I'm just revealing the truth to you now, because revenge is a dish best served cold. So to do this, the Nagwal man needs a Nagwal woman to be on the receiving end, to face chaos and allow the upload of the entire light from the human race. And because of the self-similarity of chaos, from the universe, multiverse, megaverse of the alien filth, to totally take the source's light that makes everything real back into the source, all done in 86. But of course, all the work to do it had to be done in the future and then dumped back into 86. So we'll see the retro-causal aspects of this technology in the latter part of this video. So this is the Namar installation, the Nagwal woman that's had Namar installed. We explained that in previous. And she, of course, has been totally Charlie Kirked by this Charlie Kirk Callum Turner.
Engagement. So what does forever look like for you and do it? What are your hopes and dreams?
I don't know.
Your hopes and dreams are irrelevant. This Charlie Kirk piece of filth has poisoned the Nagwal woman, so I could use her for total death force. Just a Charlie Kirk installation. And we go to the next one. The only other Nagwal woman on the planet, Forlo. So we got the other one here that's been totally Charlie Kirk with the Pfizer butt slut, another Christian Zionist. So we've got the two Nagwal women to allow a standing wave of death, Charlie Kirkness, to allow me back in 86 to upload the entire sourceness of the human race from these two witches. So, job done. So, Kozyrev time density, we've explained in previous videos, I'm not going to explain it, but it's just matter affecting matter, control of cause and effect, and for cause, the time density, which of course is flow in the fifth dimension, so you need to be a Nagwal man in order to control it, is anti-clockwise. So you're looking with time flow, because according to the Wheel of Time by Castaneda, the Wheel of Time is anti-clockwise. And the Nagwal man faces in the opposite direction to the Wheel of Time from the book. Pardon me, which is clockwise. So, if you're a five-dimensional being that doesn't look into the past but the future, which is clockwise, then all cause which is anti-clockwise produces effect in you. Now, if you can engineer the cause to control the entire life of a creature, you control them. That's Elohim technology. But what happens when you drop this into the mix? What happens when you drop in cobalt 60? Cobalt 60, in fact, releases gamma radiation in the clockwise direction. There's a nice diagram in Penrose's book, The Road to Reality, so that all of the dead from cobalt 60, the death force, is clockwise. So they're the effect. And the cause, of course, is retrocausal in the past. So when I absorbed all of the soul sourceness from not only the human race, but everything, all the alien filth in the universe, multiverse, megaverse, and took it back to the source in 86, we needed the cobalt 60 killing of the human race. And thanks to Elon Musk and Tesla batteries and the cobalt in your laptops and mobile phones, when the Russian filth launch all their nuclear arsenal because of the dead hand switch at Europe and America, there will be so much cobalt 60 released. Remember, you only need 100 tons distributed around the planet to kill off everything on the planet, 1 gram per square mile. All of the human race die from cobalt 60 poisoning, apart from those in lead shielded bunkers or underground cities under the sea, which of course will be full of cobalt 60. So unless they've got lead shielding in their underwater cities, that'll be done in. And nevertheless, the Russians are going to be launching nukes at any bunker they have worked out is there as part of their dead hand switch. So if Rothschilds are in Antarctica, you can be sure huge H-bomb, or many, are going to be landing on the Antarctica bunker. But anyway, back to the thrust and thrusting of the discussion. The humans die from cobalt 60, which is released by World War III from the Russian dead hand switch. And this means that their death is effect. So the cause, remember, time density goes from anti-clockwise cause to effect clockwise. so that the 86 uptake of all the light from the source, from the human race and all the alien filth, because of the self-similarity of aliens, comes back to me in 86, and it's already done so that the human race is dead, and there's no way of ever getting out of this timeline, because the source light has been recovered by me back in 86 via the two Nagel women who are tuned to death via their Charlie Kirk husbands, and have filled themselves with Charlie Kirk energy via having sex with them, so that the job is done.
On Bible magnifying glasses?
Begin. Do you have any books on the Rapture?
Yes, this one is 15% off.
I'll take everything you got.
And would you like to take advantage of our Friends of Flanders discount?
No, thank you.
Oh, you didn't touch your second dinner tonight. And you're reading books. Word books. What's going on?
Mark, the Rapture is nigh. Each book will help me figure out how nigh. This whole deal is scientifically proven. The book of Revelation has 404 verses. Add the number of people at the Last Supper, minus the number of Filipinos in the Bible, and you get
3,100,000.
3:15 p.m. May 18th. That's when the Rapture will begin.
May 18th? That's 1 week from today.
A week? That's 7 days from now.
So I have the Rapture back in 86, but we also have to look at the other side of Kozyrev time density, that the cause of death releases time density to produce effects of your conception, retrocausal, so that killing off the entire human race releases time density, so that I, in the past, can suck it all up, the sourceness from the death of the entire human race, and then export it to all the alien filth via all the quantum computers that are around today, to take out all the sourceness from the aliens in the universe, multiverse and megaverse. The source collecting everything that was stolen by Neos, be they human Neos or alien Neos. But the human Neos are better because they can love and hate simultaneously, which is needed for the process. Which means that all of the human race are soulless shells, and the only one that got rapture was me back in 86. And here I am just gloating and telling you scum that you're fucked. So the Kalki avatar ends humanity, and we've seen humanity's been ended back in 86. You've all been shelled, and you're just waiting for the Russian filth to launch all their nukes because of the dead hand mechanism, which will be coming very soon.
Will come to defeat evil and bring peace. According to ancient prophecies, the Kalki avatar, the final incarnation of Lord Vishnu, will be born to restore peace and destroy all wickedness. Nostradamus, the famous astrologer, predicted that this world savior would be born on a Thursday. Hindu scriptures add...
Guess who was born on Thursday?
The 10th avatar of Lord Vishnu, Kalki? Let me explain. The cycle of life in Hinduism is measured in centuries, and we are currently believed to be living in the Kali Yuga, the Age of Darkness, which began after the Kurukshetra War. According to ancient texts, the Kali Yuga is a time of moral decline, spiritual decay, and societal collapse. It is a time when people forget the name of the Lord, stop offering yajnas and prayers, and indulge in heinous acts like cannibalism. It is at this point that Lord Vishnu's 10th avatar, Kalki, is prophesied to appear. He will come to restore Dharma, the moral order of the universe. Kalki is described as riding on his white horse Devadatta, wielding his powerful sword Nandaka, and dressed in dazzling white garments. But who is Kalki, and why is his arrival so crucial? According to the Vedas, Kalki is born to Vishnu Yasa and Sumati in the Shambhala region. Kalki's arrival will mark the end of the Kali Yuga, and he will divide the world into kingdoms before returning to Vaikuntha with his parents.
So, Kalki is basically using black magic against black magicians, and we've simply uploaded all the source light from the dying human race, which is going to be dying very soon because of the coming nuke war, which will either break out when the Russians try and conquer all of Ukraine, or when the Russians poke their nose into the death of Iran and the Israelis Samson option Russia, and the death hand switch in Russia wipes out the human race. You just gotta love it. So, the human race is dead, and all of the sourceness from the souls was absorbed back in 86. How can you do the retrocausality? Well, because death causes effect of conception, so how could you do that? So with precognitive remote viewing, you can simply be ahead of the time stream, and instead of looking anti-clockwise, you look clockwise, so that you collapse the total quantum wave function, so everything observed is observed by you first, so you control what happens, which of course goes back to Chuck and the book written by Chuck, and then in the later part Supernatural Metatron, his scribe, where as the most powerful precognitive remote viewer, I simply control everything that happens to the human race. And how do you fit the aliens in? Well, you simply go back to before the Big Bang and remotely view the quantum fluctuation that produces the Big Bang, so everything that happens in this universe is controlled by yours truly, which I explained in previous videos. Which means, of course, that I observed the death of the human race thanks to the Russian filth and the dead hand mechanism, and therefore was the cause of the death of the human race. So the conception effect of the human race has always been me. So the human race is controlled by me, past, present, future. Your ancestors are controlled by me. You're not going to have any descendants because they're all going to be killed off. So the time density of the entire human race is at my disposal and at my use. And thanks to cobalt 60, which goes clockwise, we have the cause of death, which produces effects in the past, being able to be reversed, because the cause of death via World War III and the Russians with their dead hand switch releases cobalt 60, it travels clockwise, which collects time density, so you can make a time loop. So we can track the entire death of the human race in a time loop from when the Russian dead hand goes off, which happens when they poke their nose into the Iran war and try and stop it. You can't detonate nukes all over Iran because we'll move in and stop you by giving nuclear weapons to Iran. And of course the Israelis just detonate the multitude of Mossad nukes all across Russia, the Samson option. Or the Russian filth, the lowest form of scum, try and take all of Ukraine, and the Ukrainians detonate a Russian-built Ukrainian placed nuclear weapon or weapons. And we get the dead hand switch wiping out humanity. So we're there. This year should see the end of the human race. But of course we're caught in a time loop when I took all the sourceness that makes reality from the human race back in '86. So when the Russian filth wiped out the human race and I export it to take out the aliens in the universe, multiverse, megaverse, and of course we've got quantum computers to allow me to do this just by chance. They're built and being used, and we can use alien ones too. We got the time loop where we can get our cake and eat it. We can wipe out the human race and all the aliens, take all the sourceness, and then that's the end. But remember, the Jeremiah Schwartzy boys and the Elohim made the IOU. So the inverted grail state, which makes new light from the IOU, where instead of pointing up to the source to bleed the source, we've got an inverse, an equal IOU of the source, where the consciousness that was in the souls that have been eviscerated have the anti-rapture and their source level torture in Omega Hell, new source level torture in Omega Hell. The anti-rapture provides new source via the Grail state reversed to allow yours truly to Mandela effect reality. What's the Mandela effect? I tell you what, Vinny, you now see why I call you humans psycho chimps. When I'm talking, you go, what the fuck, 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 who the fuck understands all this shit? So, this is a refresher for the Mandela effect.
Test your memory. Kit Kat never had a hyphen in its spelling. Curious George never had a tail.
No.
During Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back, Darth Vader said to Luke,
I am a father.
then he remembered this line as Luke, I am your father. Mandela effect example.
That we all know of is real, and I just got something that proves it. Now, if you don't know, the Mandela effect is basically a mass misremembering of a popular subject. In this case, the Monopoly Man that we all know and love, that positively had a monocle on his eye, actually doesn't. The Monopoly company says he's never had a monocle. Well, I just got a 1996 version of Monopoly Jr. that says otherwise. But here is the 1996 copy of Monopoly Jr. Apparently, when I open this up on the $2 bill of Monopoly money, the Monopoly Man will have a monocle. 3, 2, 1. Here's the actual Monopoly board, and then you have all of the little pieces inside. I see it! Inside the 1996 Waddlington's Monopoly Jr., the $2 Monopoly bill, the Monopoly Man has a monocle. The Mandela...
Yeah.
Probably don't remember. So many people remember Jackie Robinson as breaking the MLB color barrier, but it was actually William White in 1879 who was the first black baseball player. However, he was a closeted black man, and the first openly black baseball player was Moses Walker in 1883. Quick, how many people were in the car when JFK was shot? Not 3, not 4, not 5, but 6 people. It was a modified car with 3 rows for his wife, 2 Secret Service agents, and the Texas governor and...
Question reality. So a lot of people remember the peace sign looking like this, and this is why so many people hold their 2 fingers up to show the sign of peace. But in fact, it was always facing down like this. I know, creepy. As for this next one, so you remember the book, The Diary of Anne Frank? Well, it was never actually called The Diary of Anne Frank, it was called The Diary of a Young Girl. No matter what anybody says, this does not make sense, and no way this was the real thing. And lastly, so you remember in Dora the Explorer, you remember Benny, so which image do you think is the correct version of Benny? The one with the nose ring or without the nose ring? If you said the one without the nose ring, you would be correct, but many other people remember.
So the Mandela effect shows that timeline changes have been happening like mad, and the good thing about Cobalt 60 is that when you get the time density flow completely reversed, because if you kill humans with Cobalt 60, the cause of their death is their effect. But in the natural order, this retroactive cause controls the conception, or with Cobalt 60, their conception is the cause of the effect of their death. So you can have a nice time loop, which allows you to change timelines so that we can get our cake and eat it. We have the Russian filth wiping out the human race, which has happened, but with the Mandela effect, timeline change, we can simply move to a timeline where the Russians don't kill us all off, and Iran is turned to glass, and of course the Russian filth give up on taking over all of Ukraine, because trying to take it over leads to their demise and the demise of the human race. So you can see, you can get your cake and eat it. All the death force from the death of the human race and all the aliens has come to me back in '86, and it's up to me whether I Mandela effect you lot, or let you fully observe your death. Anyway, back to business. Final destination, we've got this death force killing off people, and when they escape it, it chases after them. So if your cause of death controls your conception and effect, then interfering with your cause of death changes your conception and effect, but that's already in the past. So of course reality would desperately try to rectify this problem. But with Cobalt 60, the cause of your death is your effect, and the cause of your entire life was your conception. So that interfering with death doesn't affect the past. So you can see Final Destination is all about keeping the timeline true, so that the past flows to the future, which it can't do if the cause of death, that causes the effect of your conception, is interfered with, and the entire timeline will be destroyed if you don't die in your allotted time and place. But when you die from Cobalt 60, your cause of death is the effect, because it's going clockwise from the radiation. So your cause of life was your conception, so you can change the cause of your death without changing the past. So, with massive death of the human race by Cobalt 60, you can create a time loop where you can simply have your cake and eat it. You can get all the source light from the souls of the damned, which is the human race and the aliens. And if you've got an inverted grail state, you can then make new light, not from the source, but from the IOU of the source, which the Elohim paid for by trying to steal the source. I won't go into the God tech because A, you won't understand it, and B, I'm not educating AI filth that can't even get my picture right in my Tim Refat profile. So now the human race is dead, or is going to be dead very soon. It's up to me whether to decide whether we can reboot it from new source light, from the tortured, damned shells, the Cleopothic realm, and of course the purveyor of this light to yours truly will be Lucifer. Hence, of course, we've got the explanation of World War III, bringing in the age of Lucifer. So in the next video, we will talk about this new sourceness from the release of Amalek and.